am going to see how much I can get. I was waiting for the perfect spot to get this because I'm down to literally, when I opened my phone this morning, 4% battery life. Morning. Oh my goodness. Look at beautiful sun. This is the James River, and it's a 100-foot footbridge, longest footbridge on the AT, and it's going to take me to my pickup spot for my stay at Stanimals. And I think the most amazing thing is that I actually have, oh gosh, look at the reflection off the water. It is just incredible. What I find most incredible though is that good morning. Oh, good morning. Oh, where'd you go? Oh, I lost them. Yeah, oh, when I try to zero in, then they fly right out of my screen, right? Back to what is the most incredible thing, Karen? That I had any battery life left at all. And I suspect it will get used up by the time I finish this footbridge, if I even get that far. And I believe I will have then reached relative safety because I'm going to be waiting at the pickup stop for the Stanimals hostel shuttle driver to get me. I'm going to give you the whole update later. I ended up changing my camping spot, and it was absolutely the right choice. I had the most glorious spot, and it's the kind that almost, you wake up, it's so beautiful, and it brings tears to your eyes for real. Okay. Amazingly, this is still going. Anyway, I'm gonna bring it to a close.
First time across.
Yeah, yes, it is. He asked if it was my first time across. I said, yes, it is. See, because it is, you don't take advantage, right? You don't take it for granted. It's kind of like living in the mountains and not seeing them anymore. I don't know if I could ever not see them. But, all right, 3 minutes of me crossing a footbridge. I will close it up. Until later. Okay, this is my new friend No Joke, and he's got the poem of the day, and I had to share it with all of you.
This poem is called Clorox. No, just kidding. This poem is by the great William Blake, and I first heard it in the great 1996 Jim Jarmusch film Dead Man with Johnny Depp and Gary Farmer. And in that film, Johnny Depp is William Blake, and Gary Farmer plays an Indian named Nobody, and he repeats this poem to him by William Blake. Every night and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight.
And in a nutshell, there's the trail. I love it. Thank you, No Joke.
Of course.
So, you guys remember my whole broken toe story and how I longed for nail polish remover? Well, I am at Stanimals Hospital in Glasgow, and look what they got. Yep, cotton balls in. Woohoo!
You can thank No Joke for those.
No Joke got me. Well, he didn't get it for me. It just happened to be on the shelf.
I had to repaint my toenails.
See, he had to repaint his toenails. He's the guy. He's our poet from earlier. Anyway, thanks to him, I can take this off. Woohoo! Trail provides. Beautiful fire. Well, hello. So, I am giving you this update like a day and a half late. My battery life was so low. that I kind of took some notes so I wouldn't forget. Because you know what happens when I give an update a day and a half late? You're testing my memory. It's not so good out here. What happened yesterday seems like 100 years ago. I'm not even kidding. That's how it works. I don't get it. Let's not dwell on that. It's just the truth. Anyway, it's just so long ago. So much happens, and it's hard to keep track. But so I think when we left off, I was looking forward to a world of hurt, and it did not disappoint. I swear to you, I climbed straight up for legit 3 hours. I know that sounds impossible, but it's true. I mean, there might have been a teaser here and there, but it was straight up for 3 hours. I finally get to the shelter. Well, let me tell you this. So, as I'm going up the shelter, I'm thinking, I'm looking around. I have a feeling rain is coming, right? So I stop and I look at the radar, and it looked like the rain shouldn't start till 8. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, please just get me to the shelter. Let me get my tent up before the rain, right? Well, I got there. My tent was up. I was about to make dinner. It was about 6 o'clock, and the rain came. I have never been so relieved. So, did or can wait, crawled in my tent, probably 45 minutes, an hour, and then I made dinner. And then, you know what? I slept great. It didn't rain again, but all my stuff was still wet the next day. It was still wet coming out of the bag from the day before, quite frankly. So I had toyed with 2 different options of getting into town. I get into town the next day. That meant doing 20 miles, which is not a big deal. Everybody kept saying, but it's all downhill. It's all downhill. And I'm like, well, if it really is all downhill. But the thing was, the shuttle, the hostel where I wanted to stay wouldn't do shuttles after 6. And I'm thinking, if I get there at 6:15, what am I going to do? Just sit there all night? So I said, you know what? Better for you, Karen. Let's not. I actually told myself, if you can wake up at 4, you can do it, right? But you got to get up at 4 and get out right at daybreak. I woke up at 4:09. There's something funny about the subconscious, right? Once you plant a seed, I actually get up at 4:09. I was so tired, obviously, but I also thought, you know what? This isn't the right plan. There's something told me. So I went back to sleep, woke up about 6. I got up, everything is wet, plus, okay, one bird, several birds, I don't know. They all chose my tent to bomb that morning. So I had to wipe down one whole side of my fly. So that was no fun. But everything was soaking wet still. And I thought, you know what? Instead of taking off and trying to make it to town, which now it was too late anyway, it would have been a race, even if it was all downhill. I said, I put up a line and I hung all the wet stuff on it. And I figured it's going to take me an hour between breakfast and coffee and all that. I let it dry. And you know what? It really worked. It was 98% dry when it went into the pack, right? So that actually worked out great. And I'm going to tell you right now, thank goodness I did not try to go into town in one day. It was not all downhill. Just like Virginia is notorious for, there was a 1.2, I measured it, straight up before coming down to where I ended up camping. And I actually was going to camp at like 15 miles, 15 and a half, I think was my plan. But somewhere along the line, like light dawned, you never checked for a water source. And no, there wasn't a water source. The water source would have been 3 miles previous, so I could have carried water for 3 miles, or it was 1 mile ahead, straight down the mountain. I'm like, no. I said, man, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just go to the next shelter. So I go to the next shelter, which was 2.5 miles more. So I did about 18 yesterday. And then what that did, though, is it put me only 2 miles to my pickup point, right, which was this morning. And I thought, no big deal. And I ended up with the best spot, honestly. There was a creek, and I put my tent right near the creek, so I heard the water at night when I fell asleep, and I heard the water when I woke up. And there was one other person Father Tom. I got a picture. You'll see him. He came in. It wasn't dark yet, but I was already well in my tent, settled in, and I heard the splashing, and I heard the rustling of the leaves, and I thought, oh my gosh, is that an animal or is that a person, right? I did think I heard clicking of poles, which he told me today that he did intentionally, so it was clicking of poles to tell me person, right? And he ended up staying in the shelter. He's actually doing the Eastern Continental Divide. He started in Florida. Like, that's a wicked long haul. But anyway, wicked nice guy. I slept great. I had a nice lazy day morning, cup of coffee, no rushing, because I only had 2 miles to go and all the time in the world to get there. So Father Tom asked me what he could pray for me. He's a retired fireman, and when, he wasn't out fighting fires, he would have his Bible in the firehouse, and so he got the name Father Tom, and it stuck. Anyway, he asked what he could pray for me, and I thought that was so nice. And if you happen to see this, Father Tom, I'd like to adopt that practice. So I would like to go forward and start asking people when I meet them what I can pray for them, because it's a nice way to meet a person and then part ways with them, knowing that you can. I'm out on these trails for hours upon hours upon hours. I would love to be praying for different people, but anyway. So then this morning, oh my gosh, what a glorious morning. It was absolute. I was practically in tears. First of all, it was perfect, right? No rain. The sun was high. It was the easiest 2 miles I've walked the entire AT. It was along the James River. The sun was sparkling on the river. When the currents, right? And it sparkles like crazy. And those sparkles were coming through the trees. It was utterly magical. And I was so overwhelmed with, I'm here. I'm able to be doing this right now. I was so overcome with emotion. I could have cried. I really could have. It was so beautiful. I'm just so blessed beyond measure to be here. Every day I said, if only it wouldn't rain. And then I thought, you know what? If it didn't rain, you'd find something else to complain about. It's my nature. It's human nature to complain, right? I think it's a release valve to complain. But anyway, I said, sure, the bugs, right? Which made me remember, okay, here I am telling you this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful morning that I'm having that is so emotional that I'm practically crying because I'm so happy. And then I'm going to transition to cockroaches. Oh my gosh, do you remember? Well, I don't remember. It was the shelter where the next day the ridge runners came to sanitize it. That shelter, I ended up using the privies. I told you how I wiped them down and everything. I used the privies because, remember, I wasn't feeling well and I didn't know what to expect. So I noticed there were cockroaches in that privy, and it grossed me out to no end, because to me, that's not normal for me, right? I don't know if that's normal for anybody, but cockroaches is just not normal. And I was just terrified I was worried that a cockroach would get on me and come in my stuff. But I didn't think that happened. And then 2 days ago, I was cleaning out my bag because I was dumping it out. I remember it got wet, so I was trying to dry it on the inside and the outside. And there was a dead cockroach carcass in my first layer bag. I was like, how did you get in there? Well, it was dead. There's 2 layers of plastic in there. It probably suffocated. But I was like, But anyway, so if I wasn't complaining about rain, I'd be complaining about bugs. If I wasn't complaining about bugs, I'd be complaining about something. But you know what? At the end of the day, I am in this most amazing place. I mean, it changes every day. The people change every day. The experiences change every day. When I was hiking with Jamie and PJ, and actually, you saw a picture yesterday, I ended up staying at another shelter with them. Well, that's where I met Gravity. And they asked me what my favorite places were. And I said, you know what? I don't remember where I was yesterday. But if you ask me about the people that I've met or the experiences I've had, I could talk for days. because those are what are now seared into my memory forever. Anyway, I got to the hostel today. I'm at Stanimals in Glasgow. Just so you know, Waynesboro is closed. Do not try to stay at the Waynesboro Stanimals. It doesn't show up in the feed on Far Out, but it shows up on the what is in Waynesboro that you might want to visit. So don't be fooled. I almost sent resupplies there. They're not open, but I am at Stanimals in Glasgow. I meant to take video. I'll do that tomorrow before I leave. But they picked me up around 10, got here 10:30, set up my tent, just started doing the usual routine, got straight into it, shower, laundry, charging devices. Yeah, I was down to 2%. When they picked me up, I had 2%. Unbelievable. That's cutting it too close. And I'm a little nervous because I was counting on staying at Stanimals in Waynesboro. And since they're closed, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I talked to another thru hiker today who said there's a church hostel in Waynesboro. So I'm going to have to look at that because otherwise it's 8 days. And I think that's just going to be too much. Though I did order another charger. So I'm going to be adding 10 ounces. I know that doesn't sound like much, but I'm going to be adding 10 ounces to my weight, my pack weight. And I think it's just responsible. Clearly, I can't cut it this close. It's just not safe, right? So anyway, while I was waiting for the shuttle driver, because I had all the time in the world, I got there an hour early. I figured I can either be at the camp and run the risk of being late, or be at the pickup point and run the risk, or run the chance that they could be early, but they weren't early. Anyway, a local saw me, and I was sitting, and he goes, "Oh, taking a rest already?" And I said, No, I'm waiting for my ride. And he was just telling me history of the area and his family, and that they come from there. It was very cool. But anyway, that was fun. But I'm going to take video of this place. It's very welcoming. It's not, fancy in any way. I've been to hostels that are super, super fancy and have all this stuff. But it's not like that, but it's very welcoming, very comfortable. Yeah, just perfect for the one night stay and getting a lot done. I guess that's it. So I've updated you. So the last time, I think we're up to date. Obviously, as I remember things, I will just hit that play button or record button yet again. I'm good for that. But so yeah, lots of familiar faces here, as well as new faces. So it's been great, and I will let you know how things go tomorrow, and I'll give you a tour. Okay, good night.